Hey, everybody, and welcome back to Carl's Conversations, safe place to have difficult conversations. During Black History Month, we are celebrating by having a showcase on Black excellence, and we are shining the spotlight of Black excellence onto Mr. Lafayette Armstrong. Yes, you can see his last name and my last name are the same. Y'all, he is my father. So I'm gonna do my best to get through this introduction without getting all emotional because I'm so proud to be introducing my daddy until I just don't know what to do with myself. I'm sure our family members who are watching are just smiling from ear to ear. This is a very special interview to me for many, many reasons. I know some things you don't know, but in just a few fleeting minutes, you're going to begin to know what I know. And so let me tell you, if you're already with us in the viewing audience, you're going to want to tag some folks, tag your family and friends, give them the link. We're streaming right now to Twitter, to YouTube, and to Facebook. So you want to grab that link, send it to your family, friends, tell them to join us. Carl's Conversations is live in the showcase of Black excellence. We have an American hero in our midst. Mr. Lafayette Armstrong is a Vietnam War veteran. You know, some people can say they're a Vietnam War era veteran. No. He's a Vietnam War veteran. He's a veteran of Operation Just Cause and many other military campaigns and conflicts of which he cannot speak of because they still classified. Now, some he may tell us about, some he's probably not. He's a child of the civil rights era. He was born and raised in the southern United States in the southeastern portion of Virginia. As a matter of fact, he is a proud native of the South Norfolk borough of Chesapeake, Virginia. And so South Norfolk, stand up. And also he's a product of Norfolk State University. Ain't nothing like that green and gold. And everywhere in the world, when I see anything that looks like Norfolk State, I yell out, behold. Yes, and they come back with the green and the gold. And so all you Norfolk State Spartans or those who have been stomped by the Norfolk State Spartans, you know. You may not want to know, but you know. It is my honor to introduce to some and to present to others my father, Mr. Lafayette Armstrong. Thank you, Dad. I appreciate you saying yes to the interview.
Well, you know, you stated that you know some things that you're so proud to introduce your father. You wasn't proud when you tried to burn Shaw Air Force Base, and I got him. You wasn't proud then to introduce your father. when I got a hold of you, wasn't proud then.
You ain't got to tell it all, Daddy. You ain't got to tell it all.
So now you proud?
I told y'all. Listen, y'all, you know that during this Black Excellence Showcase, we're dealing with folks who are doing great things in business, in education, in history, when it comes to community advocacy, community organizing, community engagement. I have my dad here today because he has a tremendous perspective to speak to us about what's going on in our political climate currently. Now, that's not the only thing he has a perspective on, because I'm going to let him loose and he can speak for himself. But the main reason why I invited him, because in our conversations back and forth, because of his time in the military, because of his history of being a product of the civil rights era, you got to remember some of the things that we read in books, he lived. He's retired from the military, retired from the Postal Service. He was a union representative in the Postal Service. He's traveled the length and breadth of this planet, doing so many things in business. He's been educated and degreed in human resources. We have a lifetime of experience and wisdom to pull from. And so from that particular angle, we're going to talk to Mr. Armstrong today about some of the things that we see. And so, Daddy, you ready?
Yes. And I had that experience of raising Carl and his brothers and his sisters. So I have a unique experience. And I'm the eldest of 10, so I have a lot of experience at a lot of things and a master of nothing.
All right, Dad, I want to start with this. We have a new administration sworn in on January 20th, of course. And I think for persons like you and I, we're not surprised at the things that we're seeing, though we're not pleased. I guess one thing that kind of gnaws at me is those that voted for him that are now being hurt by the changes that he's making, as if they didn't know it was coming when he's doing what he said he was going to do. I also want you to speak to, um, I don't think there's really a rise in racism. I think because of who we have and the top office in the federal government, that racism that was always present, now they don't feel like they have to hide. They feel like they have an ally in the White House. And now what they have always felt, which got reignited when we elected Barack Obama, I think that now we're seeing it out and open, where at one point they had to hide it, into the cracks and crevices of society. Now they feel bold. What do you see from your perspective about these things that are going on?
Well, first of all, from my perspective, anybody in mind who is a person of color, we have all seen the arrogance, stupid ass white boy that we have for Secretary of Defense now. We have all experienced that arrogant ass white boy who don't know nothing, who self-indulged of his self-work is only that he's white and male. I want to tell your audience this. This is nothing new. You've often heard me say, you got to vote for the dog catcher. And briefly, you will allow me just give you a brief civics lesson. I didn't learn this from an integrated school. I learned all I'm about to tell you from a segregated school. My Uncle Monk, his name is Plumber Armstrong, and he was somewhat of a recluse, but he was the brilliantest man I ever saw in my life. And when you talk about complaining about the old books that they gave us, my Uncle Monk used to say, 2 and 2 is still 4, whether it's in the new books or the old books. It's still there. So don't act like you just got off the boat. You still can conjugate a verb or a paragraph using the old books or the new books. Now, having said about voting for the dog catcher is city council. The dog catcher is the zoning commission. The dog catcher is the person who you vote for to determine the outcome of delegates that go to the electoral college. Now, this is the brilliance of Trump. The brilliance of Trump is that and his minions, they got the electoral college, they got them in, they got the Supreme, and once they got them in, they got the representatives through the electoral college to get the Supreme Court, and he got a lock on that. Then once he got the Supreme Court, now he's got a lock on how to to get in the government and get in all these files. Now, you say the court gonna stop him. Maybe and maybe not. Now, what I'm saying is this. If he got the court and he got access to all the secrets of America, all the secrets of America, you have no idea. I worked in Intel, and I don't know all our secrets. I mean, I can't want to tell you to scratch the surface of it. But when I'm trying to tell you, this man has got everything, and his minions, they have got everything. This country is in a bad way. Now, how do we fix it? Well, I don't know how we're going to fix it. But one thing I do know, that if you grab your pitchfork and you go to your congressman, and you don't have to do, you could just be 10 people a day, 10 people a day in your district. Just send letters. 10 people in your district. Just go broadcast their offices. Now, let me tell you this, what Trump was waiting on. He's waiting on us to go act a fool. And I'm talking about us, black, white, Republicans, Jews, Gentile, independents. So he can put the military on to shoot us. So he can bring in this law to say that emergencies.
Martial law.
Yeah, martial law and this other law that they want to use in Canada. So what we got to do is have peaceful protests for the whole world to see peaceful protest. Have a silent protest. Just silent. Just assemble lawfully and simply walk up and down the street in front of the offices or whatever. Just silent. You know, Carl went to integrated school. He got the subtle racism that I didn't get. My parents and grandparents protected me from the racism because I feared them when I feared any racist cop, anything like that. And that fear protected me. You know what I'm saying? To mind my way, to be respectful and all that sort of thing like that. Because that's one thing that, and I didn't realize it until after I got grown and figured out how the system worked and how it didn't work, how it worked for others and didn't work for some people, and how it didn't work for me. I'm gonna give you this. Carl's great-grandfather, my daddy's father, had tears in his eyes when he saw Carl play on the baseball field that my daddy couldn't play on and I couldn't play on. And here it is, this generation. Something as mundane as playing baseball. You see what I'm saying? I'm gonna give you an example. The gentleman that you see next on the screen here represented the United States and playing Little League. And playing Little League. He represented this country, not in the armed forces, but playing Little League ball, which is a sacred thing to play Little League. So you know how good he was. But yet when he went to high school, the coach didn't want to play. You see how this works. It works to this, what we just got rid of, the chief of staff, the black chief of staff, the second black chief of staff that we had.
He was the chairman of the Joint Chiefs.
Chairman of Joint Chiefs. This D&I hire.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, let's talk about D&I hire.
Mm-hmm. Please.
Is Clarence Thomas a DEI hire? Asked him why did he go to Notre Dame? A boy from Georgia went into Catholic school. Why he had to go to school, he had to go to him. Why didn't he accept him to Notre Dame? Now, don't get me wrong. I am not a Clarence Thomas fan intellectually or his legal ideology, but I do think he's a smart man. I just think we disagree differently on our political thinking. Now, this will get me. How is it that now they don't want DEI hires, but yet when you look at the demographics of the country now, well, who's going to fight for America? They're going to have another draft. And they're going to send all black kids drafts and stuff, because when I got drafted, President Bush, Donald Trump, Clinton, all on the stage. Clinton went off to school. Bush, daddy sent him down to the guard. My mama couldn't get me into God. You see what I'm saying? Trump had bone spurs.
So
You
he
see what I'm
said.
saying? Well, that's what his daddy paid a doctor to say. So I ain't no doctor. My mama didn't have a doctor to say, because most of the doctors during the time I was growing up were white. You see what I'm saying? And then somehow the local draft board got a hold of some signed by a black doctor. Do you think they would acknowledge it or dismiss it?
Dismiss it.
I'm just saying the facts. Sometimes I look and I think about we as a people, we have never left the plantation in our heads and in our thoughts. And here's a reason why. I remember the time that they did not want not black quarterback, but not even uh, uh, black players to play football.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the plantation has changed. It went from the cotton fields to the football field.
Mm-hmm.
Think about it. All those black kids making those endowments, making all that money from them white schools to go to their endowments, and we don't get nothing. All them black kids on that field making the money for the NFL owners, the NBA owners, the same way they did in the cotton fields. The same exactly thing, different stages. Nothing has changed. Now, we have some missed opportunities. Just think, and I tell kids all the time in the barbershop, said Michael Jordan made his money playing basketball. He kept his money playing golf. And the difference in that is because of the exposures of playing basketball versus the exposures of people you meet playing golf. Now, the racism going to be the same anyway, but the opportunities are a little what nuanced there.
I want to ask this to you.
Hold on one second. Hold on. You're going to have to edit it.
All right. I want to ask you a question. Now, you were there when we were going through the civil rights struggle during the 60s and 70s in this country. And I know that since then, we've made tremendous progress as Black people, even as Black and brown people. And if you want to extend it, you can even say gay people, Asian people, people who are not white, and especially people who are not white males. We've made tremendous progress. But here we go. We found ourselves back into a real jacked up situation where it seems like we're under attack again. In your estimation, from your perspective, how did we get here? Is it a pure hatred for folks other than white people? Is it a fear of people other than white people? How did we get back here?
Well, it's a combination of both, and my perspective of it. The civil rights movement. I was young. I remember being about 12 or 13 years old. My grandfather, my mother's father, made us all look at the March on Washington and telling us about history about that. And in the same vein, that you talk about the fear, the greatest fear would rock America, I think, that with the election of Barack Obama. And they knew that that's why this abortion thing, I believe, is so paramount to white folks. Because they never gave a damn about black women having abortion. This thing is not about, but this is about white women not having babies and about the browning of America. Why do you think they in the last news couple of weeks, they talk about bringing people over from South Africa? Now, let me tell you how the dummies are working. Do you think the white folks that bring over to South Africa, you think they're gonna go work in them fields? And you think them black people gonna go, they're gonna got the same black people that they had in South Africa who changed in apartheid, the same black people that they had in the fields here in the South, all over this country? No, they're dummies. Now, and speaking of dummies, the immigrants that they say that came here, these people are the people who saying paying for these white folks Social Security. It is a known fact that white people live longer than people of color. So who the hell do you think paying your Social Security? Now you gonna put them out of the country, then who gonna pay for it? Because the demographics you don't have. And when we were talking earlier, we were talking about who's gonna fight for America because the draft is coming. Right now, recruiting is down. Recruiting is down. Are you gonna put your son or recommend anybody to go in the military now? Are you? Now, is Trump gonna send his son?
Absolutely not.
You know what I'm saying? Is the defense secretary gonna send his son?
Absolutely
You
not.
see what I'm saying? Or the billionaires and stuff that you saw at the inaugural address, are they gonna send their sons? What I fail to understand, if they're not gonna support Ukraine, and NATO, we've been with the NATO alliance for almost 80 years. And here it is with China, with the back door of going to Taiwan. Now, when they observe China and the rest of the world observe what's going on, do you think the North Koreans who Trump said that he got a beautiful relationship with, you don't think he gonna come down to cross that 38 parallel? It's a thought. I mean, we preoccupied with all this other stuff like this, and we don't have any D&I. You see what I'm saying? So, what you want? All white boy armed forces,
I think
segregated armed forces?
their rhetoric is so short-sighted. They're blinded.
Short-sighted my behind. It ain't no short-sighted. Short-sighted, you got to have a brain to think to be short-sighted. There ain't no critical thinking taking place. None. Zero. Zip.
So what do you think is behind it? Is it just being blinded by racism? And let me say this, and this is for the benefit of those who are watching. We have so many of our Caucasian brothers and sisters who see the light, who don't want to have nothing to do with Trumpism. They don't want to have nothing to do with racism. They don't want to have nothing to do with supremacy, white supremacy. And I applaud them. We have many who are part of the movement of fairness, and I thank God for them. But there is a sect of them who are just as evil and just as backwards and as mean as the slave owners of 300 and 400 years ago. And it has been taught, because hatred is not born into a man or woman. Hatred of race and color, that's not born into you. That's taught at the dinner table.
Exactly.
So go ahead.
There's some of your viewers, maybe some of y'all, you've seen the public announcement commercial where they had a little black kid and a little white kid and a little Asian kid. And the question was, say, well, what is racism? These 3 and 4 babies, 3 and 4 year old babies. And they look at it and say, I don't know. But they ask a little white kid. And it goes on. And the kids say, I don't know what that is. So if 3 and 4 years old, they know boys from girls, but they don't know what racism is. Because racism is not innate, it's taught. That's like you was addressing to, I don't know. I've seen as an NCO in the military and giving out instructions and orders, there has been some pushback on people resent my color for giving those instructions. But the Air Force regulations are colorblind. They're interpreted in a racist fashion, but the regulation itself are colorblind. The same way, to give an example now with the post office, this thing about going privatized. 21% of the post office is black.
What percentage?
No, is black.
What you said, 21%?
21%.
Okay.
Now, and you can break it down to and totally. So let's say that 70% of the white folks are there. But the thing of it is, in certain sectors of the country, the black people are leading and in key spots, key positions. And that's being resented upon. And these are mostly veterans who served their country with civil service and stuff like that, who was promised to get X, Y, and Z. Now, you and I, with the Veterans Administration, now, we got people in those positions who interpret those things fairly and equally. But when 30 years ago, it was not done that way.
Right.
It was not done that way. I had people, when I retired from the Air Force, white people to tell me, well, you don't need another job. Here I am, 40 years old. I don't need another job. With kids in college and something, I don't need another job. You see what I'm saying? Where was the other job when I was in Southeast Asia?
Right.
You see? And
let me ask you, do you think this is revenge because we have gotten to a point where we're in positions to make things fair? Like you said, years ago, the way that a black veteran was treated when he or she applied for veterans benefits and a white veteran was treated very much different, because those regional offices were staffed with good old boys. But now those regional offices are staffed with all kinds of people. And do you think now this is the pushback of a nation saying y'all went too far, you got too far ahead, and now we're gonna snap back?
Well, that's going to the same analogy, Carl, when you talk about the church. The most segregated place on earth is the church on Sunday, where you got your black Jesus and your white Jesus. Here in Sumter, South Carolina, my church, I don't want to get the names of, hooking up with 2 white churches. Last year, I went through that event. I'm not going this year because I'm not going to sit up here and talk with these damn Republicans who say they are people of faith and principle and still put their neck on my neck. Sumter, South Carolina, and for your audience, look at the demographics of Sumter, South Carolina, and why in the hell we keep inviting and electing a black mayor. It don't make any sense. Who's a Republican? But yet he can come to our church and all the black churches there, and the black preachers say, well, do you believe in the things, the principles of your party? Then he'll come up with, Brother Armstrong, you're not supposed to be talking about that and this sort of thing like that. What the hell am I supposed to be talking about then? If we believe it, and then when you're in that forum, they talking about we all love Jesus and ain't no color and all this other stuff like that. But I always start a conversation out with when I'm around those bastards. I say, well, what color was Jesus? And the same principle that Gandhi had about Jesus, I think you heard me say it in my last talk with you all, is Gandhi said that he had no problem with Jesus. He had a problem with his followers. He had a problem with Jesus' followers. I have no problem with Donald Trump. I have the same analogy that Gandhi had. I have a problem with Donald Trump followers. Because Donald Trump is in the gun. I served with Lindsey Graham.
In the Air Force.
In the Air Force. He defended about 3 of my troops from him. Lindsey Graham was a hell of a lawyer. Lindsey Graham was a guy that you could go sit back and have a beer with and talk junk. I don't know what the hell happened to him. I don't know what the hell happened to him. The last time I spoke with him, I don't know who the hell you are. Now, this is just The ideology and nothing personal, but just the idea and the change. Same thing with Tim Scott here. I had the opportunity to see him. And I told Tim Scott to his face, and he probably don't remember me from Adam's podcast. I said, my mama hadn't raised me right, I would spit in your face. You see what I'm saying? So, and it's based on ideology. You know what I'm saying? So it's nothing personal in there. It's nothing personal in these white folks who believe in Jesus, but just don't think my Jesus and their Jesus are the same. But they're all Christian. You see what I'm saying? We're all Christian.
But things are coming out now. I'm on social media and I take a lot of the stories in. Now you have the children of the racist, and they're all ages. Some of them my age. I'm Generation Z, and I mean X. I'm Gen X, and Gen X was raised by you all, the baby boomers. So you got my generation and later generations. They're coming to social media and they're telling their stories. They were raised by white devout Christians who use that hard N word with the hard ER on the end. I love Jesus, but you can't have no black friends and ain't no blacks welcome in this house.
Well, let me put something back there on that. The word nigger is, and people say we shouldn't use the word nigger anymore. And we use it on ourselves and don't understand. The word nigger is a form of endearment to one nigger to another nigger. Now, what made nigger bad is the fact that these white folks look at it in a disdain fashion. And I'm not advocating for the word nigger. I'm just saying what it is. I'll give you an example. Bill Cosby. Was he good, bad, and indifferent? But this is what I agree with him about. He was asked on an interview, he said, well, why do you air our dirty laundry in a public forum? It was asked by Bill Cosby. He said, your dirty laundry come home every day with $300 sneakers on and can't read and write. That's your dirty laundry, Black America. In Black America, your kids with them $600 phones and all this sort of thing like that, and they can't read and write. When you go to the mirror, the person, why your kids can't and grandkids can't read and write, the person in the mirror is to cause that problem because the kids got a damn computer in their hand, and every mathematical problem, every verbal problem, every problem in the world is in their hand, and they can't read and write, and they're making piss bowl grades. Something is in home. Tell me, am I wrong? The computer's in their damn hand. And yet they're on it and they can't read. And then you want to say, I'm going to see my kid play a basketball game, but I won't go to the PTA meeting. Coach said that we're going to let him play ball because you don't have a CAB. Well, when the hell you doing my son like that, my baby? You see? But you need to go to the Department of Corrections and see the mamas and them lined up there. You see?
That's the plantation mentality you were talking about.
Yeah. I don't know what kind of mentality it is, but I know it ain't working.
There's some cleaning that has to be done in-house and outside the house.
Because when I grew up, coming down from Waterford School down to your grandmama's house, you know how far that was. That what a block?
Yeah, the block.
You know what I'm saying? And somebody saw me walking there. I think Miss Abrams and Miss Brickhouse and all of them saying, well, what you doing walking home with her? You had to be accountable. Is Dorothy home? Well, she home, you come stay here until you get here. What you gonna say? No, I ain't coming. You see what I'm saying?
You did what you told.
You did what you were told.
Because there was accountability.
It was accountability. Now, I'm going to give you this. I went to a historical black high school. My geometry teacher, my algebra teacher, my trigonometry teacher was all the same person. and he was the head football coach. So we're in there gambling, throwing them dice. You know what I'm saying? And Mr. Smith come in there. He told I don't forget who he said, go get the damn blackboard. And he went and told the principal to say, he holding the class in the damn bathroom. So he said, now, you want me to show y'all how many times a die will come up, this number, and a die come up, this number. The laws of probability. Guess what? I think we probably, us boys made more stuff in algebra and law and physics and stuff like that than the girls did. Because he captivated an audience.
He used the dice game to teach you something.
He used the dice and about geometry, about side, angle, side, and all this thing, throwing the dice on the wall, throwing the laws of calculating. You know what I'm saying? Now he got our attention now. You see what I'm saying? And that's one thing of Black America that we lost. Because our teachers and stuff not know that everybody learn, but everybody learn different. Then they didn't throw away no car. They didn't put no children on Ritalin. Ritalin was back of your behind, you behave. Whether you was slow and just nothing, but you learn how to behave. And everybody learn, but everybody learn different. You know, this sort of thing. Now, getting back to the church, I'm going to say this to say that, and historical Black colleges. We as Black people got to stop stealing the money. Stop stealing the money. You remember when Benny Colclough told you what he told me to tell y'all, you and Tim, about preaching? He said, stay away from the money and the women, and you'll be all right. And we have to stop stealing the money from the church. We got to stop stealing money from the historical Black colleges. And I think Coach Prime brought that to the attention to what it was. Like he said about the tickets being sold and the money don't correlate with the tickets. So it don't make any sense. You see what I'm saying? A lot of people don't know, and I'm just talking off the top of my head, Jim Brown, one of my heroes.
Mm-hmm.
And for all you Jim Brown fans and stuff, I got a picture of Sam Huff tackling Jim Brown. I told Jim Brown that at Puncho's
Hall of Fame induction.
Yeah, Hall of Fame induction. He said, man,
time out 1 second, Daddy. Puncho is known as Kenny Easley to y'all. He's our cousin. So when he was inducted into the Hall of Fame, several of our family members were there. And of course, you got other Hall of Famers there. So this is what my father's talking about. Go ahead, Dad.
Yeah. And he said, well, man, I don't have that picture. He said, I'd love to have that picture. I said, but you ain't going to get it. I said, my grandkids and stuff being there with, they'll have that because that's a very famous picture. But my point is with Jim Brown, everybody thought he was a very exceptional football player, and which he was. But do you know the game he played better than anything else? Do you know? The game was lacrosse. He was a better lacrosse player than he was a football player. And these rednecks at Syracuse say, no, nigga, you ain't playing that game. This was white men. And the stupid ass white men don't know lacrosse was not a white man game. It was an Indian game. And they played with horses. The same way they do in the Malays, but it's a different type of game. Now, getting back to us Black folks, we let our kids go and major in sports management. But damn, they didn't know anything about golf. Only thing they want to do is pick up a damn nasty ass t-shirt thing. That's cool and stuff like that. Sports management is about learning about golf, getting internships into golf, tennis, the betting arena, and all these other things. And you got to learn these kids about internships and stuff like that because you got to give them the incentive and get money together to do that. To get internship about experience and things. because we don't have a nod and a wink. But if they want to get into it, they got to get into it and learn how to make some money from it. They got to learn about racing horses. They got to learn about horse racing and all this sort of thing. Like, what your cousin, what she wanted to be a vet? Because it was money in these white folks' dogs and horses. There's money in these white folks' dogs and cats than it is in medical. You see what I'm saying? It's money. So our backwards way of thinking, I can't think of the song that Curtis Mayfield sang. He said, why is it that your black preacher telling you to love your white preacher? Think about that. Why is your white teacher telling you to love your black preacher? Why is that? Why is that? I wish y'all could hear my friend David Weeks, Sumter, South Carolina, Sumter boy, Jehovah Baptist Church, last Sunday, which was the 23rd for Black History Week, her speech. If you could go back and look at Jehovah Missionary Baptist Church, Sumter, South Carolina, and that day, and they heard that speech. If you like the speech, I'm not advocating this sort of thing like that, but send some money to Morris College in Sumter. Send some money to another historical black college, because David Weeks, who you saw there, is a product of the local college here. He's a product of Harvard University, and he's a product of the University of South Carolina Law School. And speaking of the University of South Carolina Law School, there used to be, South Carolina State used to have a law school, but the white folks got rid of that. And we allowed them to get rid of that. Now, I'm going to say something too. That's a fact. I'm not getting some people toes here in Sumter, South Carolina, which I really don't give a shit. But Jim Clyburn and Ralph Norman are the two congressmen, and their lines sit so close. One side of my hood, within a quarter of a mile, is Jim Clyburn. The other side is Ralph Norman, white Republican. Guess what, y'all? I don't know the difference, because I ain't getting a damn thing from neither one of them. To me, they're both equal. You see what I'm saying? They are both equal. So these Democrats here, and when you think about the Democrats, and when we get up somewhere where we need to be, it's how is it that we forget to do what we need to do? Why is it that we can't support each other? Let me give you an example. All these black athletes, just the millions that they make, just take 1 million and send 3 kids to either law school, to be an engineer, or business, or doctor, to a historical black college. Now, when you say, and you look at David's speech, they say that we were unclean, we was this, but yet they wanted us to clean their house and fix their food. Why would you want an unclean person to clean your house and fix your food?
Racism is retarded.
Yeah, you see what I'm saying? Why is it that from the 1960s to now, to date, where have we moved up to when they did taking this DEI stuff in? Why? I would agree with Clarence Thomas that you don't need affirmative action. If the mindset was different, you see what I'm saying? Yeah. If the mind, now, you see Clarence Thomas get out to speak, he got a lifetime appointment. Can't be fired. Have you heard him say anything about the firing of this DEI stuff as the advocate of that? He wasn't like Thurgood Marshall, who he replaced. You see what I'm saying? You remember what Thurgood Marshall said about Clarence Thomas when he was asked about him? He said, what do you think about Clarence Thomas? Thurgood Marshall said, I'm going to say this and I'm done with it. A snake is a snake. I don't care what color it is or what it's still a snake.
Mm.
Powerful, isn't
It is.
it? Powerful.
Dad, I
Then
want to get your
David said,
perspective on something.
huh?
I want to get your perspective on something. Excuse me for interrupting. During my time in the military, and Lord knows I love my country. The American flag does mean something to me, but I don't worship the flag. I love the flag, but I don't worship it. But I noticed a lot of my Caucasian service members had what I considered a worship of the flag. And that always bothered me. It took me years after I was out of uniform to have a better understanding. Now, I remember when Colin Kaepernick was active in the NFL and he took a knee during the playing of the national anthem because that was his protest against the police brutality against Black and brown people. I didn't agree with him kneeling at the flag, but I agreed with his right to do so. And I did agree with his protest. So I didn't openly rebuke him. But I noticed that some of the same racist white folks who thought that he ought to be banned from the NFL and thrown out of the country, they were some of the same ones that supported and even were present on January 6, 2021, when the capital of the United States and the United States flag were desecrated. There was a Confederate flag carried into the Capitol building. They defecated in the Capitol building. They threatened the lives of senators and representatives, staff members. And so it appears that when we say, and remember, that was the call of the white racists, strict law enforcement. We're a nation of laws, law and order. That was the hue and call until the law and order start working for other than the majority culture. And now you have a felon in office. What happened to law and order? What happened to my country, 'tis of thee? What happened to respect and old glory? Well, was that just a catchphrase for as long as it protects white America? I'm confused. Can you help me?
You confused. Shit. I've been confused too. You know, what Muhammad Ali said when they drafted him? He said, why don't y'all go over there and fight? He said, I need to stay here and fight. You
Right.
know, and when we was over there, the enemy used to play, like I said to you in my last speaking to you on this forum, that the enemy used to play the Temptations. War, what is it good for? Free to pain, free to pain, bring the boys home. You know how we heard that? Not through the Armed Forces Network overseas. We heard it from the enemy. They played that music because it was banned from us to hear. That's how we heard it through Hand On. It was banned. And they were always say, brothers, why are you over here fighting your own people? Why? And look at you, and you're talking about speaking of your own people. Let me tell you how stupid white America is about this thing about Trump going over to Gaza. You just think about the Jews and stuff like that, the way they treat those Palestinians and Hamas and all this stuff. Look at them little babies over there raised and they're rolling and stuff. You think they're going to forget? Khrushchev said in 1963, I remember this. He went to the United Nations, I'm sorry, and told them we would bury you and not fire a bullet. Look at the situation today.
Yep.
Look at the situation today. And here it is over there in the Middle East. They beating the world's biggest armed forces, us, with slingshots. They beating Israel and all of them systematically. But it's still resilience, the resiliency of these people. They're beating them with slingshots.
What arrogance to think that all this war over all these years and we just going to walk into Gaza and turn it into the Riviera of the Middle East? I'm just sitting back saying, okay, so how much American blood gonna have to be spilled over there?
Well, that's the way colonialism works.
You're right. You're right.
That's the way your faith works. Because to conquer people, you got to first make them believe in Jesus. Then steal and take from them. Because your pagan God and my God are something different. That's they're going on the false flags. That's what I'm saying.
Yes,
that's
sir. I understand. You didn't say
that's
Jesus was false, but the way they use him.
The way they use him. The way he used him. And that's sort of, whether you believe in Jesus or, and, I give this, people use this phrase, oh my God, Lord Jesus, just let me pray for this. And sometimes when I'm in church and people be saying this for asking Jesus for nonsense, I say, don't you think Jesus is busy trying to heal these little kids with cancer, trying to hurt, give somebody who are hungry to feed them? And you sit up here and worried about your nonsense? Don't you think he's really busy? And I tell people all the time, you saw how I was in Charleston with that cancer. I say to you, and I would pray to ask God, say, God, just take me. I live my life. When I saw these babies in Pampers with chemo in them, white, black, or whatever, but it was still a baby, somebody's baby. You know what I'm saying? And where we say, a change gonna come. A change gonna come. I have faith. My faith is strong. But I question my faith. I question my faith like anybody else would saying, I remember you, Carl Armstrong. Let me tell y'all something. Carl Armstrong, the only Negro I know to get kicked out of Sunday school. The Air Force chaplain brought him to home one time and said, Son Armstrong, he said, we got a problem. I said, well, chaplain, what's the problem? He said, well, Carl put his money in church. Carl wouldn't put his money in church. And he said, well, why? I said, well, Carl, why you won't put your money in church? He said, the chaplain said the money is for God. And I want God to come get it because there's a lot of poor people around here that need money. You were about 5 years old. And I looked at the chaplain and said, well, he do make sense.
The chaplain couldn't explain to me how you say the money for God. Okay. Well, explain to me how God going to use it to help these poor people. And he couldn't explain it, so I kept my money.
So, in this vast field of uncertainty, but there is certainty if we want it.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of my journey, I mean, like the old, that spiritual say, I'm going to rest at the end of my journey. You see what I'm saying? When I get there, I'm going to rest. See all the people I wanted to see and all this sort of thing like that at the end of my journey. And I'm just going to try to move on and keep moving on.
I want to ask you something, and please forgive me. My son, DJ, asked me something, and I want to get your take on it. When the George Floyd thing was hot, that was during the time when COVID was hot also. We all in the house. And, we all, and this thing was ripping us apart, because to see how that cop he killed him right in broad daylight and knew he was being filmed, but he knew he was a white cop in America and he was killing a black man. What's going to happen to him? Historically, nothing happened to white cops who kill Negroes in America. That's just the way it is. DJ asked me, he said, Dad, why didn't your generation fix this? Why y'all leave it to us? I gave him an answer to the best of my ability though I knew it wasn't enough. I just want your perspective on why we haven't been able to solve this problem.
Well, in answer to DJ, he can blame me that, and you can blame me too, my generation, because we would have to fall on our swords because we did not give your generation some of the tools that you needed to succeed. Now, we was under the premise because we thought we had moved from point A to point B, and we believe in what you just said about the flag. It was going to be equal and stuff like that until we saw in the 80s that it was not equal. Until we saw in the 80s it was not just. We thought our kids would had a better education being in with all these white people. But little did we know we were sending our kids to incarceration. It wasn't integration, it was incarceration. Because in the black schools, they wouldn't have tolerated all this stuff. You gonna do what? You talking about a gun? By the time you got to the principal's office and them all them other teachers would have got a hold of you and something, there wasn't nothing left for your mom and daddy to come get you.
Mm.
You see what I'm saying? Because we let them take over and raise our kids. And they give us our kids back to us in incarceration. They give them back to us. You know, I think DJ is right. Why? And I had to take some of that blame too. Why? Because we should have been on top of our game. But you know, it's a lot of corrections that we do. And I'm not being downtrodden on my race. I'm proud to be a black in America. I don't know what else I'm in, but I know I'm black in America. You know, I don't know what other pronoun you want to put into that, but I'm black in America. And I'm proud of the accomplishment that Black America has achieved. But we have not truly adapted and overcome.
And on that, I want to ask a question to that. I want to ask a question to that. Why is it so difficult? And I'm so glad you said it. Why is it so difficult for some white folks, and dare I say, even some black folks, to admit that still in 2025, there is historical and systemic racism in America? Why is that so hard for some to admit? And even to see, maybe some claim they can't see. I'm not sure if I believe that or not, but why is that still a sticky situation? Why is that still such a difficult conversation when it's so obvious to you and I? How can someone not see it?
Well, I don't need a white man to tell me he don't see racism in America. You know what I'm saying? I can tell him with the kiss. Then see is that racist? Kiss with I twist, and I ain't gay. You know, so the racism in America is systemic. Is like you said earlier in this conversation, that is passed on to generation, irregardless of what it is. Now I'm gonna tell you one thing I find fascinating. I find that Jim Bob coming to Walmart, coming to commissaries, coming to every place, Targets or wherever you want to go, Food Line or wherever. And you see Jim Bob with that half black baby saying, I love my baby. You see what I'm saying? Loving them children to death. Now, that's another thing about changing in America. That's the DEI they hate. Because them white girls love jungle fever.
The browning of America.
That's right. The browning of America.
I think,
like I told you, who paying their Social Security? Who gonna be paying their taxes? You know, the income. Now, white people live longer than black people, like I said earlier. So we're not paying their Social Security. I mean, we are paying their Social Security in a short amount of time. We don't reap the benefits that they're going to reap. Now, I just said, just let it do what it do. Let Trump and them that's going on cut Social Security, cut Medicaid, and all this stuff like they said about the red states. Look what happened yesterday with Joy Reid. Look what happened. Why? Because she was telling the truth.
them big money sponsors are scared of my man in the White House. They don't want to offend him.
And they need to be scared of us. We don't need to go to Targets. We don't need to go X, Y, and Z. They need to be scared. I think who was it, Farrakhan or somebody said, you can't go and sell collard greens in the Chinese community. So why they come in our community and sell that? You can't build a restaurant in their community and benefit. And not only that, we allow these Indians to come in and they won't buy soccer t-shirts for our kids. And who's right there in the community. But yet, we go there and buy them in the liquor stores. Now, I'm not saying drinking what people about drinking or something like that, because I like my wine too, you know, and this sort of thing like that, you know. But we got to look at the core businesses in the Black community: the barber shops and beauty salons, the undertakers, the churches. They're the three core businesses. They're the three core businesses.
How do we change it?
I don't know, God. I don't know.
I think that the change is happening. I think it's happening. Okay. Look, Dad, we're gonna sign off. We rate over an hour. I think that we're gonna have to come back and do a part 2.
Okay, and I appreciate everybody sticking with me. You know, I'm just saying my thoughts out loud until we meet again.
I appreciate it. Y'all listen, this was Mr. Lafayette Armstrong, in my estimation, an American hero, a product of the civil rights era, a military veteran, a retiree of both the United States Air Force and the United States Postal Service, product of the civil rights era, a man of South Norfolk Borough of Chesapeake, Virginia, and a proud Norfolk State Spartan. All right. We've heard right from his mouth, agree or disagree. He has given it to you raw. And that's what Carl's Conversations is all about. Safe place to have difficult conversations. And that's why I like doing it on this platform. We can do it the way we want to do it. If you think you have an interesting story, call me. Maybe it is worthy to be aired. If you think that the spotlight of Black excellence needs to be shined upon you, I want you to contact me. We're going to go beyond February. We're doing this to celebrate Black History Month, but there is so much excellence that the spotlight has to shine beyond the limitations of February. All right. We'll be back very soon. Stay tuned and tell somebody about the good work we're doing at Carl's Conversations. Until next time, y'all have a great day.